This video will introduce you to Pathfinder 3D. We really like SolidWorks. We think it's one of the best tools out there for 3D design. You can create parametric assemblies, you can draw one-of-a-kind assemblies quickly and accurately. We really like it. Drawings update automatically. The problem has always been getting from a 3D drawing to the CNC or to a panel saw, or basically getting the information out to the shop. And that's where Pathfinder 3D comes in. It has additional functionality for assigning materials, and also will export DXF files or DWG files that are layered, that are cuttable by CAM systems like CAD Code and AlphaCam and RouterSim, people like that. So let me just demonstrate how it works. So if I want to assign materials, I'll pick one. Let's say a taboo veneer. This is basically a list of materials I've used recently. It's just keeps track of what you used. So I'm going to say I want this to be a taboo veneer. I want to cut it face up because I want the veneer side to be on the face up when it's put on the CNC machine. So I'm going to select these two. Actually, select this one too. And it also has grain direction functionality, so the graphic will actually go the long way or the short way depending on what you select here. You can also control what machine is going to, whether it's going to be a CNC part, panel saw part, and this is an editable list. Okay, so it assigned the material, but I did it wrong. I put face down instead of face up. So I want these to be face up because I want the finish to be on the inside. So you can see graphically it updates and shows you whether you're doing it correctly or not. So let me do this one. Let's say taboo veneer. This one will need to be face down because there's dados on the back side that needs to cut. And you can also, right now what it's doing is choosing the face to be face down based on the side with the most surface area, but you can override it. So if you say, okay, but I want this face to be face down, then you can select it right here, and it'll put the texture on the correct side. However, this is going to be face down. Okay. I'm going to make these MDF CNC parts, MDF. Okay. This is a copy of this, so they both update, of course. Let's make these back cleats particle board panel saw parts. Okay, so now I have my materials assigned. We have this other tab here that allows you to quickly review it and make sure you got it right. So you have, this is your MDF parts, highlights those. Your maple parts, particle board, taboo veneer face down. There's some that are face down and some that are face up. And then you can quickly reassign materials here. Let's say I decide I don't really want to do this out of taboo veneer. I really want the whole thing to be Kensington maple. I can select those all at once. So I can select all of these taboo face up parts all at once and select Kensington maple, which is good two-sided, so it doesn't really matter which side is face up. Okay. So now you can go up and you can print your cut list. It'll filter it by CNC or panel saw, by your machine basically. Filter it by machine, by material, export it to Excel if you want, print it out, basically get it out to your panel saw. But now I really want to get this cut on our CNC. Now there's CAM systems that work inside of SolidWorks where you could program each one of these parts, but you'd have to open up the part and program every single part. And for us, we have hundreds and hundreds of unique parts that are fairly similar to each other, but they would all require us to program them manually, and that just doesn't work for us. We need something more automated. So in Pathfinder, you just go up here and you click Generate Tool Paths. There's some settings here. Click Process. And it goes through and it analyzes each part. It puts it with the correct face down. It orients it the correct direction for grain. And it draws a graphic representation of the layered DXF file that it's going to export so you can review it. So we now have a row of parts that are laid down in the assembly, and you'll notice that the dados have a loop to make sure they go all the way out the part, and they are layered, so I can click on it and make sure that's dado 2.25. Most parts it'll get automatically. There's a few custom things that it might not know what to do with, and you would have to manually go in there and create them. These are surfaces, and so they're easy to draw in SolidWorks and layer. So once you're satisfied with this, would be a completely automatic assembly. So I would go up and go Export Tool Paths, Export, and there you have it. You have your DXF files, and you have also a CSV file that tells the CAM system how many, most of these parts are quantity 1. This one happened to have 2 in it, so it's quantity 2. Tells you your material name right here. So it's 100% ready to cut now. And the other thing that's really neat is that you can go back. Let's say I decide I want to make this an inch smaller, or well, let's say I want to make it 30 inches. Okay, I'll go back to my cut assembly, and all my parts have changed. All I have to do is go Export Tool Paths again. It asks you if you want to overwrite the files. You say yes, and you're 100% ready to cut again with the new sizes. So it's extremely powerful in that it keeps a link between the 3D objects and your layered DXF files. So there's some systems where you can export a step file and then lay the parts down and then cut them. But what if you want to make a change? Well, then you have to go through the whole process again. So there's not a solid link. In Pathfinder, there's a solid link between the 3D model and the layered DXF files.